Azure Web Apps is a fully managed platform for building, deploying, and scaling web apps. It supports multiple languages and frameworks, including .NET, Java, Node.js, and Python. Azure Web Apps provides built-in auto-scaling and load balancing, along with a range of DevOps capabilities, such as continuous deployment from Azure DevOps, GitHub, and other sources. This makes it an ideal choice for developers looking to deploy their applications quickly and efficiently. Before deploying your code, you need to set up your Azure environment. This involves creating an Azure account, setting up a resource group, and creating an app service plan. The app service plan determines the region, instance size, and pricing tier for your web app. Once the environment is set up, you can create a new web app within the resource group and app service plan. To create a web app in Azure, navigate to the Azure portal and select Create a Resource. Choose Web App from the list of available resources. Fill in the necessary details, such as the app name, subscription, resource group, and app service plan. Once the web app is created, you will have a unique URL where your application will be hosted. This URL can be used to access your web app once it is deployed. Azure DevOps provides a robust set of tools for deploying code to your web app. Start by creating a new project in Azure DevOps and setting up a repository for your code. Next, create a build pipeline to compile and package your application. Finally, set up a release pipeline to deploy the packaged application to your Azure web app. Azure DevOps supports continuous integration and continuous deployment, CI/CD, ensuring that your code is automatically deployed whenever changes are made. GitHub Actions is another powerful tool for deploying code to Azure web apps. By creating a workflow file in your GitHub repository, you can automate the deployment process. The workflow file defines the steps to build, test, and deploy your application. GitHub Actions integrates seamlessly with Azure, allowing you to deploy your code directly from your GitHub repository to your Azure web app. This enables a streamlined and efficient deployment process. For simpler deployment scenarios, you can use FTP or SFTP to upload your code to Azure web apps. This method involves connecting to your web app's FTP server using an FTP client and uploading your application files. While this method is straightforward, it lacks the automation and integration capabilities of Azure DevOps and GitHub Actions. However, it can be useful for quick updates or for deploying static websites. Visual Studio provides built-in tools for deploying code to Azure web apps. By right-clicking on your project and selecting Publish, you can choose Azure as the target and configure the deployment settings. Visual Studio will handle the packaging and deployment of your application, making it a convenient option for developers who are already using this IDE. Additionally, Visual Studio supports continuous deployment, allowing you to automatically deploy your code whenever changes are made. Once your code is deployed, you may need to configure various application settings. Azure Web Apps allows you to manage settings such as connection strings, environment variables, and app configurations through the Azure portal. These settings can be updated without redeploying your code, providing flexibility and ease of management. Additionally, you can use Azure Key Vault to securely store and manage sensitive information, such as API keys and passwords. Monitoring and diagnostics are crucial for maintaining the health and performance of your web app. Azure provides a range of tools for monitoring your application, including Application Insights, Azure Monitor, and Log Analytics. These tools allow you to track metrics, diagnose issues, and gain insights into your application's performance. By setting up alerts and dashboards, you can proactively monitor your web app and address any issues before they impact your users. As your application grows, you may need to scale your web app to handle increased traffic and load. Azure Web Apps supports both vertical and horizontal scaling. Vertical scaling involves increasing the instance size or changing the pricing tier of your app service plan. Horizontal scaling involves adding more instances to your web app. Azure provides auto-scaling capabilities, allowing your web app to automatically scale based on predefined rules and metrics. This ensures that your application remains responsive and performant under varying loads. Security is a critical aspect of deploying and managing web apps. Azure Web Apps provides several features to enhance the security of your application. These include SSL/TLS certificates for secure communication, authentication and authorization using Azure Active Directory, and network security groups to control inbound and outbound traffic. Additionally, you can use Azure Security Center to monitor and manage the security posture of your web app, ensuring that it complies with best practices and industry standards. Ensuring the availability and integrity of your web app is essential. Azure Web Apps offers built-in backup and disaster recovery capabilities. You can configure automated backups to regularly back up your application and its data. In the event of a failure, you can restore your web app from a backup, minimizing downtime and data loss. Additionally, you can use Azure Site Recovery to replicate your web app to another region, providing a robust disaster recovery solution. Managing and optimizing costs is an important aspect of deploying web apps in Azure. Azure provides several tools to help you monitor and control your spending. Azure Cost Management and Billing allows you to track your usage and costs, set budgets, and analyze spending patterns. By optimizing your app service plan using reserved instances and leveraging auto-scaling, you can reduce costs while maintaining the performance and availability of your web app. Regularly reviewing and optimizing your resources ensures that you get the most value from your Azure investment. Deploying code to a web app in Azure involves several steps and considerations. By following best practices such as using CI/CD pipelines, configuring application settings, monitoring performance, and ensuring security, you can successfully deploy and manage your web app. Azure provides a comprehensive set of tools and services to support your deployment process, enabling you to build, deploy, and scale your applications with confidence. Continuously learning and adapting to new features and best practices will help you stay ahead in the ever-evolving world of cloud computing.